Welcome back to World Class Coaching. This is part 2. In the first part we looked at sort of how to play out under intense pressure, looking at Manchester City versus Bayern Munich. And in the first couple of examples that we kind of saw was Bayern Munich pressing in a more 4-4-2. It was a bit of an asymmetrical 4-4-2 where this player joined in with the press and Alaba sort of tucked around in here. It's kind of made it transition into a 4-3-3. But initially, as a point of reference, we'll start with a 4-4-2 press where the two players were pressing either centre-backs quite high. And so what we saw was the holding midfielder, very typical in the modern day, create that overload with the goalkeeper as well to create a kind of 4 versus 2 scenario. But what I want you to notice is we talked about positional play in the first example, trying to get two players to occupy each of the 5 vertical lanes throughout the pitch. Okay, so as you can see here, two players, 3 if you want to include the goalkeeper, 2 players in each of the 5 lanes, so that no matter where the ball is on the pitch, somebody can provide the right supporting mechanisms for having possession. Now, against sides that want to press more in a 4-3-3, which is something you'll commonly come across at grassroots level, numerical superiority again is, and what they did was, in order to create maximum depth, they dropped the centre backs down the side, so you've got 3 players here against 3 here. But in order to create the overload and draw them in, and you have to bear in mind that is something that Manchester City and Bayern Munich, both sides want. They want to draw these players in to create space between lines or to draw the defence really high so there's more space in behind to penetrate. But they'll get superiority by bringing the 2 holding midfielders into these positions, into the areas. And one of 2 things will happen from here. Either these guys will tuck in, in which case they now can't press these guys quite as efficiently and effectively, and these guys can probably connect the passes into these, or if these guys scurry across really quickly to try and prevent, they can probably go into here. Or if these guys are spaced out, as I showed initially, the goalkeeper is probably going to be able to find passes into these areas, straight to the central midfielders for them to play out. Interestingly, I showed you an example where Bayern Munich were trapped by Manchester City. Guardiola sort of sprung a little bit of a trap on them, and he kind of went into almost a front 5 press, if you like. There was 4 certainly in the first line here, with this player here quite close, occupying 2 players. These players here were occupying central areas here, so they couldn't just play straight to the central area. And if you noticed, this player is just a little bit more withdrawn, as is this player, just a little bit more withdrawn, and it kind of opens up the pass into here for the goalkeeper. And once the goalkeeper played into here, they pressed in here intentionally quick. They came round in here to try and cut off the route back to goalkeeper. They came in here to again stop the pass to feet to the winger, which opened up this pass, and this player then just had to read the best passing option and nicked it and got it into central areas. So in terms of how would you go about coaching to play out from the back against this, well, there's a great example here. Found some footage of Pep actually in his first training sessions with Man City. You can see he's instructing the centre-backs to go down the sides of the box. You can see the holding midfielder on the edge of the box. They're using the goalkeeper, and he's got them playing out against intense pressure. I think for doing something like this, you could do it 9v9, 10v10. And as you can see with this drill, the objective is to try and work the ball to the opposition goalkeeper. When they get the opportunity to go to the opposition goalkeeper, then the other team sets up to do exactly the same. So they'll drop down the sides of the box, so on and so forth. And here's another example, playing into the holding midfielder and using the goalkeeper, creating that overload. So all I've got here is a little 10v10 game going on. I've got Blues versus Reds. The Reds are pressing against the edge of the box with 3 players in a 4-3-3 formation, just 3 at the back. And you can see I've got the Blues positioned in triangulation. It's sort of symmetry on both sides, with the 2 holding midfielders coming in towards the edge of the box, the 2 centre-backs dropping down the side, the full-backs at different lengths. But what you can see is again 2 players in each of the 5 vertical lanes. So we're coaching good habits and getting the players to get into the mind frame of getting to understand people's different positioning and rotating and such, so that ultimately you've got better passing connections, a better framework with which to have good ball retention and to penetrate through the lines but play forwards. And And as with the Pep example that you've just seen in video footage, I would have it so that the objective is to try and play through to the opposition's goalkeeper, where then there would be a point scored and the teams would then rotate round. So in conclusion, if you want to play out against intense pressure, you need to have the right shape, numerical superiority. This is what will give you the framework for success and be able to penetrate through that first line of pressure. I've been Glenn Preston, this is World Class Coaching, thank you very much for watching.